We are back. I believe this is episode 23, Kev.
The Michael Jordan episode.
Yeah, it's got to be.
Do you know any 23s in Seattle sports history? Putting you on
Nelson
the spot.
Cruz, I think, wore number 23.
Okay.
I
Okay.
could be wrong. I think he did. Um, did Marcus Trufant wear 23?
Yeah, he did. I got a good Marcus Trufant story, but we can share it
Oh,
later.
oh, okay. Well, we are the Wait for It Seattle podcast on the Substack known as Seatown Sports. And it's Brian Elsner and Kevin Cockabellis here to talk Seattle sports with you once again on a holiday
Yeah,
weekend.
on a holiday weekend. And by the way, one of our listeners was talking to me this weekend and he said, I listen to you guys on 1.25 speed.
So what happens
So
if we talk really fast?
it goes really fast.
All
So
right.
if you're like, these episodes are hella long, the thing to do is just go 1.25.
I have been known as a teacher to be refreshing myself on a chapter I may be teaching that day. And on on the car ride to school, put that chapter in 1.25 speed. So
There
I
you
can
go.
relate. I can relate.
Um,
Okay, well today we're gonna do something different. We're gonna have some fun. We gotta mix it up. We can't just always do four downs or whatever, our normal format. So we're gonna do a draft. Everybody loves a draft. I think everybody loves a draft. At least I do. I think you
yeah,
do too, Kev, because of the amount of fantasy teams you're in, leagues you're in.
yeah, but my fantasy football team is struggling, so
Oh, I faced Jamar Chase on Thursday night, and I got a text from a buddy. He was like, "Sucks to face Jamar Chase," which I didn't know. And then I checked it, and I was down 58-0. One player.
yeah.
So I lost that one. Okay, the draft, we're gonna alternate back and forth. You're gonna get the first pick. We
Yes.
have, yeah, I did that for you, buddy. We have 10 teams to choose from, and this is both dynasty type, where we're looking at the future of this franchise team,
Uh,
whatever, but also current events, right? So where they are now. So you kind of, just like if you're in a dynasty fantasy football league, baseball league, you have to balance, am I playing for this year? Am I playing for the future, right? What do my keepers look like, etc. So the possibilities today, we have the Seattle Seahawks, the Seattle Sounders, Husky football, Seattle Kraken, Seattle Mariners, Seattle Storm, Seattle Rain, Husky men's basketball, Husky women's basketball, and our 10th, which was tricky, but I decided to go with the future Seattle Supersonics. And I'm not afraid anymore. It's not going to curse it. There was a lot of hot rumor about Mexico City, but then Adam Silver backed off and said, this is years down the road. So expansion's coming. I'm just gonna say it's coming to Seattle. We're gonna make it happen. So what
yes.
what do we say? 27, 28, right? That's the
20,
season.
yeah, 20, yeah, 2027. That
Yeah.
just sounds really weird. Okay,
Yeah.
27,
So
28.
27, 28. So you've got to take into account if you think Durant's gonna be playing at age 41 or whatever it is on that team, you know,
Yeah.
who could possibly be. Anyway, so that one's a fun throw in. Okay. All right. And then we'll talk about this week's games and events and current status of teams as we go along. So that's
Yeah.
how we'll mix it in this week. All right, Kevin, number one pick. Go ahead.
So I get the first pick. All right. I'm looking at this list of 10. I think three are contenders for top for
Oh.
the top pick for me. The Storm,
Mm-hmm.
the Sounders, and insanely the Mariners. With the first
So
pick,
awesome.
I will take the Storm.
Wow. I
I
think
will
that's an
take the
upset.
Storm. Yeah, I'll take the Storm.
Okay. You got to
Now,
explain your choice.
okay, so the Sounders and Storm both made the playoffs
Yep.
this
Fair,
year.
fair
So
start. Fair start.
no one else did. Like Husky football is coming off a national championship, but that was a different team.
Different coach, different everything.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
Yep.
And then everyone else didn't really make any. I mean, the Rain made what did the Rain make
No,
last
this is
year?
actually depressing as you bring
Yeah,
this up.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
The Rain made the playoffs and they got very far with their old
yeah,
squad of
yeah.
Lavelle and Rapino. But
So
but
it's kind
like
of like the Husky football team.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
So yeah, so this is why I land on the Storm because and first of all, the recent success, and then the ownership is invested. Like they just went
That's
out
true.
and bought a bunch of free agents when they could have kind of like slowly rebuilt the thing. Um, I think there's going to be a little league dilution as well with the expansion teams coming on board in the next few years, and so that means
Mm.
the owners and the franchises that are willing to spend more are going to be more successful. I think the Storm. I think they'll figure it out. Like they have for a long time they always had Sue Bird, and then they paired her with someone. I think this ownership will figure it out, and who knows? Like it just seems like the Storm always have a star player, and right now it doesn't feel like it. Like Jewel Lloyd is the star by default, but I think they're the closest to, if you were to say like the closest to another championship, my confidence level with the Storm would be the highest amongst all of these teams.
Wow, I think that's an upset
Well, like
because
look at what they've done. They've won multiple championships in the past 15 years. Like you got to think that it,
so of the
yeah.
Sounders, in
Okay.
fairness, and the
Yeah. Yeah.
Sounders, you could argue are further along
Yeah.
than the Storm. And I only say that because soccer's a little bit more random, as we saw. Inter Miami out of the MLS playoffs. Messi's out. They lost
Yeah.
2 out of 3 to Atlanta. People were calling the Inter Miami team the greatest MLS team of all time, and they lost in the first round.
Yeah.
Right. And they did lose 2 out of 3. So for all the Inter
Yeah.
Miami players who were complaining about the American playoff system, you lost 2 out of 3, bro. Sorry.
Yeah. I thought you were going to talk about Bay FC, who
No, I'm
was the
not.
7 seed up by a goal on the 2 seed with 9 minutes to go, and they somehow
Oh,
lost 2-1.
that's also brutal. But
Yeah.
at least in NWSL, it's a one and done, which now MLS
Yeah.
is once you get past the first round. But they're basically had a 2 out of 3 to protect Inter Miami, to allow them to like have one bad game and still advance. So Apple TV could get the ratings they needed and didn't
They
work.
couldn't do it.
So I think my point is that shows soccer's randomness.
Yeah.
I don't see that randomness in basketball. I just don't see how the Storm currently
Beat
constructed
beat
are
the
beating
Aces,
or Liberty Aces.
Liberty. Yeah.
Connecticut Sun might look different next year, so I don't know that they're going to be still there. But the Lynx,
Yeah.
with
Well,
as long as Collier's there and McBride are
yeah.
there, like they're better. So
Yeah, and maybe I'm gonna hedge a little bit, but I do think that this isn't really a two. You don't need two star. It's not. How do I say this? You don't just need one star. You probably need at the minimum two
yeah,
stars and maybe
yeah,
3 stars to compete. In the Storm
for
aren't there yet, but I think
totally.
that their ownership is the most committed to get there. Like they tried. They signed free agents this
I
past
just don't know
offseason and
how
during
they.
the season.
I don't know how they get there. I don't. I guess this is a indictment on Jewel Lloyd to a certain extent. Like
Yeah.
she is a star in theory. She did not play like an upper echelon star last year. Her shooting was not where it needed to
Well,
be.
she gonna carry the team to wins
Well,
that they
Diggins
need to
Smith
win.
should be in and Agumake, Agumake was a what, second team all WNBA
Yeah.
player. So and she's a free agent, so we'll see if she comes back. But they have 3 quote unquote stars, but they're not good enough stars to
Yeah.
compete with what New York and Vegas have. So
Yep.
that's a long way of me saying, nice pick, Kev. Okay. Number 2 overall pick. I shouldn't do this,
You're
but
gonna pick the Mariners.
I'm picking the Seattle Mariners.
You
Okay.
just love that rotation, man.
Oh, it's so good. Hear me out. It's dumb. I'm gonna preface this with I should probably pick the Sounders. Okay. Sounders and Mariners have similar issues. They have ownership issues in terms of investing in the club. That's what fans would say. Both clubs. 3 years in a row, Sounders transfer window. Nobody added in the summer. Everyone I talk to who's a Sounders fan is like, they got to invest. They're not investing. Okay. Mariners fans, obviously, we know that's the big critique. Baseball's weird. Obviously, the Mariners didn't make the playoffs, so that seems dumb to pick them number 2 overall. They do have the 7th most wins in the last like 8 years in baseball. So The critique of Dipoto is fair and unfair. He's built a great system. He built up a pitching staff. Their pitching staff is as good as anybody in baseball, which gives them an opportunity to compete every year. So I'm taking the long term of even if the offense isn't great, they're going to be in it because of their starting pitching. And then I don't know, Cal Raleigh just won the Platinum Glove, which I didn't know existed. Did you know this thing was a thing?
No, but then I looked it up after. It's like the top defensive player by
Yeah, so you take all the gold gloves, which he won
yeah.
for catcher. He also had the most home runs of any catcher, so he's the best defender and he has the most home runs. Then they said he's the best defender of all of them, so he's the Platinum Glove winner. Dylan Moore won a gold glove. One of the weirdest things in the history of baseball.
Well, also, did you know it's not just pure votes from the media? Like
Who else? Oh,
they weigh in like the
metrics.
statistics,
Mm,
yeah, the
yeah,
metrics, which
that's
is
good. I like that.
interesting.
Once I saw that Dylan Moore won the utility guy one and that there was a utility guy, I was like, great. Yeah, he is a good utility defender. I didn't know they had that. I'm like, how did he win
Yeah,
this? I didn't understand. Anyway, so they got two gold glovers. They have an amazing pitching staff. Um,
you're building quite the case here.
they're gonna add a second baseman. This is what I'm most excited about, and we won't talk about the Mariners long, but
Yeah,
winter's coming, as they said in Game of Thrones once. Do you watch Game
yeah.
of Thrones?
No,
What?
yeah, no.
Too violent for you? Too risque, Kev?
Yeah, I just never had HBO
Oh,
Max.
I asked if it was too violent for you, and you're like, nah, I just never had HBO. Aren't you a lawyer? You got lawyer money. You
You
could
know,
splurge for HBO
I
Max.
invest on in baseball cards and not HBO Max.
Oh, Kev. Well, Kev, Game of Thrones is a top five show ever.
Yeah, you tried to get me on 24 when we
No, I
podcasted
didn't. I've never
years.
watched 24.
No, wait, not 24. What's the other one?
I don't know. Breaking Bad?
No, I watched Breaking Bad. That
Did
one's
you
good.
like it?
Yeah, loved it.
Okay, then you got to watch Game of
Yeah.
Thrones.
Yeah,
You're
okay.
not you're not opposed to like dark shows. Breaking Bad
Yeah.
is clearly a dark show.
Yeah, but here's the issue. I mean, you can empathize with this, but like ever like when you're married, like the universe of shows just like goes from this, I'm holding
Yeah.
people don't have the visual,
Hands
but
out
like
wide. Hands
hands
out
out
wide.
wide, and it just substantially narrows over a period of time, right?
Okay, so here's my marriage advice. Okay. I've been married for a while. I can't
Yeah,
remember how many years. I've been with my wife for over 20 years.
yeah.
You've got to decide on a show you watch together. Okay.
And then you get
So
your own
like we
shows.
just watched Nobody Wants This,
Yeah, yeah,
Netflix,
yeah.
Kristen
Yep.
Bell finished it.
Yes.
Great
Yep.
show. In fairness, we watched it quote together. She finished it before me as I fell asleep. So then I had to watch it again, but that was
Yeah.
us watching a show together. Then you
Yeah.
have your own shows.
And then, but do you like when do you get to watch those?
Okay,
Like,
well,
how do
this
you
has
have
to go.
time for this?
Here we go. Sleep cycle. So are you asleep before Christine or does she fall asleep before you?
Um, she falls asleep before me.
Okay, so then are you in bed reading? Are you like a good person that reads at night or do you scroll?
I
You scroll. Yeah,
I
like the rest of
scroll.
us.
It's football season, man. I
Okay,
scroll.
so
Yeah.
instead of scrolling, you just pop in one episode of Game of Thrones at that time.
Okay.
I would also argue Game of Thrones, Christine would like as well.
You know, we did get the HBO Max free trial with the YouTube TV, so perhaps.
All right, well, the first episode really will tell a lot because there's some stuff that happens that you'll be like, I don't know, or you're like, okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
I,
While
I
we're
don't want to
on
ruin
this,
it for you, but
yeah.
all the people listening who have watched Game of Thrones, which is everyone, will be like, oh yeah, that first episode's a doozy. All right.
Okay, let me try this one on you before we
Uh-huh.
move on.
Uh-huh.
Did you ever watch Outlander?
No.
Okay.
Should
All
I?
right. Continue.
Oh,
Oh,
oh.
it's great. You'd love it.
I've heard
History.
about it. I've heard
Yeah.
some things about Outlander. I think Game of Thrones is even more shocking than Outlander. How about that? That's
Okay.
what I've heard. Okay.
All right.
All right. Well, more shocking, Game of Thrones episode 1 or trading Luis Castillo. Who knows? But they might trade Luis Castillo and they might sign a second baseman like Gleyber Torres from the Yankees, Ha-Sung Kim. I mean, you got long shots like Kristen Walker and Pete Alonso at first base. I
We're
mean,
not getting Alonso, man.
no, I long shot. And I don't actually want him. I want Christian Walker. And Seattle Sports wrote about this, but
I wrote about this like back in May.
you did. You
I
totally did.
did.
I'm going to
I
give you
kept on
credit.
telling people we
Yep.
need Christian Walker.
Yep. I will give you one of my terrible takes from way back at the start of football season later, but your take was great about Christian Walker.
Yeah.
Nice job.
And we didn't get him and we missed the
We're not
playoffs.
going to get him. It's not going to happen. Justin Turner is probably going to come back. We're probably going to get Glaber Torres. He'll hit 210 next year. It'll suck. But on November 11th, hopes are high. Mariners, number 2 overall. Back to you, Kev.
Wait, before we move on, like uh, Suarez, Eugenio Suarez,
Love
Gino,
him. Good vibes
like
only.
would he
One of
ever,
my favorite Mariners ever.
if we ever, like, if the Mariners overpaid him, do you think he'd consider coming back? Or do you think he's just like so salty that they
I don't think
traded
he's
him?
salty. I think he's such a positive dude.
Yeah,
I don't think they should bring him back.
he'll strike out a lot.
Yeah, he strikes out a lot. He was frustrating. He's awesome. I
Yeah,
wish he had never left in some ways. I think they need to go in a direction. They need to truly commit to finding some dudes who hit for contact.
yeah,
So no more big strikeout guys. Sorry.
yeah,
Justin Turner's rad. 40 years old. Dude strikes out some of the time, but he puts the bat on the ball. I want
yeah,
dudes like that.
yeah.
So not Pete Alonso either.
Yeah.
Strikes out 280 times a year. Your pick.
I'm going with Husky women's basketball.
Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo, a convert.
Yeah.
He's you did one
Um,
interview with one star, and look at you.
they're 3-0.
Yeah.
The margins of victory, we have it in our show notes here.
Yes.
42 over Seattle U, 31 over Pacific, and 43 over Siena. Now,
Yeah.
arguably, those programs are not anywhere near the teams that they're going to be playing in the Big Ten. But
Those are massive victories.
those are massive margins of victory. And I have a like maybe they could be like the Indiana football of Big Ten women's basketball this year.
Well, that would be that's a big jump. Because Indiana
Yeah.
football is what top? What are they now? Top 10 for sure.
They're number 5 in the AP poll.
That's wild.
Yeah, we'll get to it on Husky football of
Okay.
how hard that schedule was. But yeah, I like Husky women's basketball, and I it's early returns, right?
Yep.
I feel like they're getting their good play, like they have a core of players.
They
So
do.
this is when I was looking at the research, and then I watched some of their games because they really weren't games after like the first half.
Right.
Um, but it just seems like a confluence of factors when you have like just a core that has played together. They know their identity, they know who they are, they trust their coaches. And then on top of that, we were talking about it before the show. The recruiting class for next year is
Yeah.
ridiculous.
Let's talk about this year quick, and then we'll get to
Yeah.
the recruiting class. So
Yeah.
El Ladine, who you interviewed, averaging 17 points per game, she looks like the real deal to me.
Does she look
I'm
like
not
all Big Ten real deal?
not no, and not if there's five, right? If there's five players, she's not that good. The Big Ten
Yeah.
is so good. Um, like honorable mention Big Ten or something, which would be
Yeah.
huge. I mean, there's 18 teams, right? And
Yeah.
there's like gonna be 11 tournament teams maybe out of the 18. So, but she's averaging 17 points, 9 for 18 from three in the year. Hannah Steins is 6 of 12 from three, averaging 11.3. Delia Daniels 10.7. Sellers is at 10 points. They're out rebounding opponents by 17. There's two things. They're playing at a pace that's super fast. I went to the Seattle U game and I noticed it. And then I watched and read some articles. They're getting the ball out and
Yeah.
they're shooting early threes and they have good players who can hit them.
Eladine was not lying when she
She wasn't
said that they're
lying. It was
really
great. It
going to
was
play
great.
fast. She did not
Um,
hide that.
they also have big depth. So EK and McDonald EK's been starting some, but McDonald and then Gilmer, who's a returner, they're all playing big spots with Daniels, and they're just rebounding them. I mean, they're out rebounding opponents by 17. Now these teams don't have that kind of physicality, and it'll be interesting when they play in the Big Ten. But it's fun to watch. So recruiting, like you said, right? So this is, I think people who don't pay attention to Husky women's basketball would say, like, that's cool. They must be getting some nice local players, right? So like
Yeah.
Devin Coppinger is playing.
Yeah.
She looks like she can play. That was one of my questions when we talked about the preview last week.
Yeah.
She's physically able to play. She looks confident. We'll see how much she plays when they play better competition.
Yeah.
She's local, but she was a top 100 kid. And for next year, they have the 21st player in the country, Bryn Magagi. Oh God, that's terrible. She's from Central Valley in Washington. I don't know how to say her name. Sorry, Bryn. Come on the podcast so we know how to say your name. They have Nina Kane, who's the 71st player, and Brinley Martin, who's the 68th player. They have three top 71 recruits in the country. Like
How does this
that's
happen? Because
wild.
you look at like Langley's record and it's not
Yeah,
exactly, it doesn't scream three top 100
right,
recruits to
right.
me, right? So I don't know if there's like NIL money coming in. I don't know. Who
I do
knows?
think she's been known as a recruiter in the
Yeah.
past. So like it's one of her strengths when she came. Um, they now for 3 straight years have recruited well. So Coppinger was 39 overall last year. And then the year before, the class with Chloe Briggs and I think Sellers was in that class. They were top 100. So they're just getting top 100 recruits, which is wild. And you'd think at some point that would mean
They
a
start
tournament
winning.
tournament team, right? So
Yeah.
I like it. Number 3 overall, Kev.
Yeah.
This is where it gets hard, but it's not because you passed on the Sounders. So I've got the Sounders number 4. Sounders defeated Houston in 2 games, both shootouts. Exciting MLS action. Now they have to go play LAFC in the Western semifinals, which is a dumb way of making it sound more advanced. It's really,
Top 8 teams in the MLS, right? Like the
yes,
last eight
thank you.
teams are
The
left.
quarterfinals of the
Yeah.
MLS, right?
Yeah. I had to
So,
do that in my head too because I was like, are they the part of the top four? No, it says Western Conference on my phone.
yep. So they're one and done. November 23rd, they play. They have a week off because this is an international break week. So some players will be playing, I think it's CONCACAF Leagues Champions League qualifying for the USA.
Hmm.
So they do this in soccer where they have a international break and you don't play, but it's weird to happen in the middle of the playoffs. We would never see this in baseball or NBA or something. But I think it's good for the Sounders. They had some banged up players. Morris was hurt. So to get rested is probably a good thing. So we won't, I mean, we'll have another podcast before they even play. But looking down the road, they got LAFC, who they've lost 4 out of 5 to. If they could pull off a win against LAFC, then you start believing they could win the MLS Cup this year.
Well, okay, so I MLB playoffs are always seen as like if you get in, you have a shot at the World Series
Yep.
because seven, a 5 game series and a 7 game series is much different than a 162 game season.
Yep.
Is there even more luck infused in soccer because of the luck that's just involved in a 1 game playoff?
Um, it's
You'd
hard
have
for
to
me to
look at the
answer.
models.
I think you're right. It's hard to say. I would have to go back and look and see like what the seeds were each year, which I'm not totally sure. The Columbus Crew won last year. I'm trying to look up and see what they finished in the regular season. Because they were third in the East by 12 points. So that would lend itself to and they played LAFC, who is third in the West. So yeah, I think that's fair.
I mean,
Um,
maybe, but like MLB, you have like wild card winners, like
yeah,
just going all the way and winning the whole
yeah,
thing.
but
So,
I think you're right. Like
yeah,
winning, I mean, Miami is an example this year we already
yeah,
talked about. Like
yeah,
winning the regular season supporter shield, I don't think that often actually leads to you winning the MLS Cup all the time. So
yep.
I
Yep.
think if I'm looking right, LAFC did it in 2022. They won Supporters Shield and the MLS Cup, and then 2017 and 2011. So 14 years where the best team has won.
Yeah.
That's probably actually similar to baseball. I don't think the best team has won that often, record
Yeah.
wise. So, but I'll take the Sounders. I mean, with the core that they have, I love their young. I've talked about it before. I love Paul Rothrock and some of their young players. I do believe they're probably better. There's a better chance they invest than the Mariners ownership. So I'll take the Sounders, number 4. Back to you, number 5.
All
Oh,
right.
big yawn,
Yeah.
Kev.
So I can either choose the Kraken or I can choose Husky football. And I'm not going to let you pick Husky football. I'm going to pick Husky
Of course you
football.
are. Yeah.
So here is the argument for how good this team can be. First point, Damon Williams is probably the best backup quarterback in the Big Ten. I didn't look at, I haven't looked at all who's returning, but my assumption is the majority of the quarterbacks that are starting for these really good Big Ten teams are done after this year.
Hmm.
So Dylan Gabriel's definitely done. Um,
But the transfer portal changes everything.
yeah, I get it. So maybe there's some juniors that will transfer in from like, I mean, there's going to be more Curtis Rourke's, right, from Indiana, who's having a phenomenal season, was a transfer from Ohio. And
Oregon's
yeah,
going to have a transfer portal quarterback next
yeah,
year. That's my
yeah,
guess.
yeah. Okay.
I mean,
None of those trans, yeah,
Miller
yeah,
Moss is in the portal.
yeah.
Makes me so sad. My son's
Kind,
doppelganger in the portal.
kind of hilarious
It is
that the
hilarious.
Huskies just they did that to Caleb Williams too. Like the Huskies ended USC last season and they ended USC this season. I mean, USC ended themselves, to be fair,
Wait, is
but
USC out for a bowl or can they still make a
they
bowl?
can still make a bowl, but
All
like
right, so
no
we
one
didn't
will.
end them. Like
Yeah, he
I like Husky fans. Like we ended them. Like they don't exist anymore. They're no longer a team.
they were number 12 in the country at one point.
Now they are 4-5. They're in a tough spot to make a bowl, and they're 2-5 in the Big Ten. That's pretty bad.
Yeah, they have like Notre Dame and UCLA left, I think, and someone else. I don't know who the third is. What was I gonna say? What was I gonna say? Okay, so Damon Williams,
Yeah, Demar Williams.
regardless, I think is really good. And Jed Fish put him in the second half when the game was out of reach. And just the Penn State was blitzing every down because the offensive line could not stop him.
Yes.
It's just like Damon Williams running for his life, but literally the dude ran for 50 yards. It was an amazing like he's just fast, right? So what a great experience for him to like, all right, yeah, go have fun in front of this like insane crowd of 110,000 people, which I just can't wrap my head around, and run for your
Rushing
life.
rushing quarterbacks are always fascinating to me because
Yeah,
when I'm rooting for a team against a guy that does it, I feel like the Seahawks, this happens all the time.
yeah,
They just run for first downs, and I'm so pissed. I hate it so much. I'm
yeah.
like, I just want a quarterback who can do that. It just saves things. But the flip side is if you get too antsy and
You just give up.
never throw the ball down the field,
You give up on the play.
yeah, and you're not gonna win the big game, right?
Yeah,
I think. So
yeah. We really haven't had, and I say we as if I'm like on the Husky team, but like the Huskies really have had like it's like Jake Locker was a really good running quarterback, Isaiah
Locker,
Stanback,
Isaiah Stanback,
but
and then
those teams weren't that good.
the
Their teams
team
weren't
that
that
had
good.
it that was good was with Marcus
Yeah,
Tuiasosopo.
and that was an option
I mean, my
system.
dude threw for 300 and ran for 200 in one game.
Yeah, that's pretty
He was
ridiculous.
awesome. All right, tell me
So
more about
yeah,
why you're picking the Huskies.
Jonah Coleman also might come back. So
90% Fish says.
90%. So that
That's what he
means
said today. He said 90% chance.
NIL money.
Oh, good point.
The
Joe
running
Knight, good
back,
job.
yeah, the running back depth in the NFL draft this coming season is um loaded. So Coleman,
Yeah.
I think he's coming back, which is
Seems
awesome.
like it. Seems
Yeah.
like it.
So that's two things. And then three things. I think the offensive line just has to get better. And so it won't be that good next year, but it will be better. So I think they're maybe in the 7-8 win range next season.
Okay.
I'm not going to be too optimistic.
It's a hard conference. It's a really hard
Yeah.
conference. It's so hard to predict because of the transfer portal and
Yeah.
NIL.
Yep.
So, like I said, who's Oregon's quarterback going to be? Indiana came out of nowhere. What if Wisconsin all of a sudden does? I don't know. Whatever.
Yeah.
USC is not going to fire Lincoln Riley. Maybe, who knows? But anyway, it's hard to predict. And Jed Fish is building, I guess. I don't know. We'll find out. I
If they make a bowl game this year, that's a great sign.
I think
I don't think my feelings change.
I think you're convincing yourself of that now. This is where I said the Huskies would be at the start of the year. You were a little bit more optimistic. You were a little bit more in the 8 win range.
Okay, to be honest, no one saw Indiana coming. That was
We
crazy.
predicted, I think, when we
Yeah.
talked about it, I think we thought it could be no, we said it would be a win. We said loss at Iowa, win at Indiana. You have to. But we also said they'd beat the Cougs. I mean, that's the big difference in the year, right? So
Yeah.
you're 5-6. No, they're what are they? 5-5.
Yeah.
They'd be 6-4 if they beat the Cougs, with the Indiana surprise, and they'd be going to UCLA with a chance to be 7-4, and everyone would be really optimistic. But they didn't beat the
Yeah.
Cougs, so um, let me share just a couple thoughts from the game this week. Are you really excited for Jonah Coleman to come back after 11 carries for 24 yards?
I mean, they were down though the entire day. They had to pass the ball.
No, no,
That's
no.
not fair.
2.2 yards per carry, my friend.
Oh yeah.
I'm a big
Yeah.
Jonah Coleman fan, so I
Yeah.
just had to throw that out there. Are you really excited about a coach who benches his quarterback and throws in a freshman and then goes back to the old quarterback the next week?
It's 28 to nothing.
Are you really excited about an offensive line that got absolutely decimated?
Yeah. I'm
Are
not
you really
excited about
excited
it.
about a team that allowed, what's his name, Drew Allard, one of the maybe
They
bottom 5 quarterbacks in the Big Ten, to
That wasn't
absolutely
even
shred
the
them?
worst. That wasn't even the worst. The worst was when the tight end played quarterback for like two like he played like 5 snaps in the within the 5 yard line and there's no stopping it.
No, they just got dominated. So that makes me worried about the Huskies because Penn
Yeah.
State is light years ahead of them.
Yeah.
I
Which
do
is insane. The Huskies
tie
were in the
so
national championship last year. It's
well, and maybe
insane.
that shows you how quickly it can flip.
Yeah.
But Ty Warren is the tight end for the Penn State Nittany Lions, and
Yeah.
he is awesome. I
Yeah.
want him on the Seahawks. He's rad. He plays with swagger. He catches the ball over the middle. He's tough.
He played high school quarterback.
Dude, I love him. I fell in love with him and Abdul Carter, who I already knew was good, but Abdul Carter was a one-man wrecking crew. Just absolutely destroyed the Huskies.
He made the offensive line look like a high school.
The announcers were basically like, this is Abdul Carter's highlight tape. We're just gonna say his name every down. He was
Yeah.
ridiculous.
Yeah, you bring up the announcers like Colt McCoy. We had two Colt McCoy
Oh,
games. It was bad. Again, it was bad.
he is brutal. Colt McCoy is brutal.
Yeah, he
Come
was
on the
bad.
podcast, Colt. We'll talk to you. Okay. One more thing. I have a rant about Penn State. Okay. Oh, the rant is not the whiteout. The whiteout is awesome.
Don't you find it funny that the Huskies were wearing white though?
No, I didn't even think about that. What I thought about, Christian Capel wrote about this. You sent me his column.
Yeah,
He acknowledged it's a different game in the middle of the country. We've talked about this before.
yeah,
Husky fans can feel all they want about their home field advantage. Husky fans, as you highlighted last week, are soft. Walking out of the game because of a little rain, they all go to the zone and drink beers at halftime and don't come in until the middle of the third quarter. As Christian Capel noted, every Penn State fan is in a seat,
before the
in
game.
his or her seat before the game, ready to roll. They're loud. They're dancing a Mo Bamba. They're going crazy, nuts. They're awesome. It was a
Yeah,
real home field environment. That's what college football looks like, not what the Husky fans are doing.
yeah.
Okay. Now,
Damn.
you want to prove me wrong on Friday night for the blackout with the uniforms? Go for it, Husky fans. But you can go get tickets for $10. So I doubt it will be. Last rant. There's a player on the Penn State Nittany Lions that epitomizes everything I hate about athletics. I don't hate this person. I don't know him. But hold on, I have to get his name. Oh
Do,
crap. I didn't write it down.
while we wait, do you,
Oh, I know it. Amin Vanover,
what
number
did he do?
15.
What
He's a
did he do?
defensive end. Okay. This man got his first start 2 weeks ago. Started again this week against the Huskies. Do you want to know his stat line for this week? Nothing. No tackles, no sacks, no passes defended, nothing. But if you go watch the beginning of that game when the crowd is so hyped and the Huskies had like a false start and something went wrong, Amin Vanover is like in the backfield celebrating, doing all this posing and all this stuff. I'm like, my dude, you are not contributing to this game.
The
In
fans are
fact,
contributing more.
turns out you had zero stats and you're going to pose and flex on people? No, absolutely not, my friend. So I hate that. I hate it. I hate the players who are all boisterous and don't have anything to back it up. If Abdul Carter wants to pose on everybody, sure, I'll sculpt your statue, my friend. You're insane.
So it's different than being enthusiastic about his team's
He
performance.
can be enthusiastic and high-fiving the guys and all this stuff.
Yeah.
It was all about him flexing on everybody. He's
Yeah.
in the backfield next to Will Rogers by himself. He's not doing it with teammates. I'm like, what did you do, dude? Couldn't handle it. I have
Uh,
friends who say when I get hyped up like that, my voice goes really high, so I'm gonna bring it back down low. All right.
uh,
What are we on? Did you just pick number
I picked
five?
the Huskies.
All
Yeah.
right, so I'm number six.
Yeah.
So let's talk about what we're down to here.
We got the
We've
Seahawks
Yep.
left.
Oh, Seahawks,
We got the
Kraken,
Kraken left. We got the Rain.
Rain, absolutely not. Husky
Husky
men's
men's
basketball or
basketball.
future Sonics. I'll take the Seahawks, number six.
Yeah. We had a
Um,
bye this week. Was it
the
nice not to watch
Seahawks,
the Seahawks this weekend?
yeah, kind of.
Yeah.
Here's I've kind of come around to it's a weird rebuild because they didn't really blow it up. They kind of ran it back with the dudes they had and added some pieces
Which
because
they
they do have,
fired today.
well, that's what I was going to get to, right? So
Yeah.
Mike McDonald clearly is trying, I don't know. I'm trying to figure out what's going on. So Tyrell Dodson, starting linebacker, leading tackler, got released. They already released Jerome Baker, their other starting linebacker. They traded for a linebacker, Ernest Jones. They're trying to rebuild on the fly. And I think the pieces on defense, if I go optimistic view, are not matching what Mike McDonald wants to do. And he's learning that as it's happening. He's like, I thought this guy could do what I wanted. It's not working. Gone, which I give Schneider credit for giving him what he wants. Um, I don't know. I don't think they're going to make the playoffs. I don't think they're going to finish with a great record. But I would just say we got to give McDonald like a 3-year window. I know they don't always do that in the NFL, but I'd
Yeah.
like to see what happens when he can actually build his roster to what he wants on defense. And maybe that's true of Grubb on offense. I don't know. It
Yeah.
seems like they have enough weapons on offense other than the worst offensive line in football. So,
Yeah. I will say Jackson Smith and Jigba has been a nice little surprise. Like I think
yep.
he's turning into one of the top receivers in the league. Um, it helps that he's getting the volume that he's getting in Grubb's offense, but I do think that he's exciting. Are you at the point where you start to think about the NFL draft? Are you an NFL draft head at all, or are
I like
you?
it.
Yeah,
This year will help me because of working with you and reading your stuff about Big Ten
yeah,
because so many players from the Big Ten get drafted. So I feel like
yeah,
I'll know more guys. But the Seahawks aren't going to have a good enough pick for me to care that much. Last year was exciting because I wanted to see what they did at the top of the draft. The year before, Witherspoon at number 4 was exciting.
yeah.
And they got Witherspoon and Byron Murphy. I like that, even though Witherspoon's in a slump right now. I think they have dudes, but they're not quite there. I mean, their guard position. This is what I was going to write about this week before I was too depressed to write about the Seahawks. Is they just have a guard problem. Like Anthony Bradford's atrocious. They asked Mike McDonald about it this week, and he's like, "Is it is what it is," which is not a ringing endorsement. That is basically like, "Yeah, I agree, guys. He sucks. We don't have anybody else." And then he said they actually talked about moving Connor Williams from center to guard. That's how bad it is. So that's not getting better. They go play the 49ers on the road next week. Great. Then they play Arizona at home. Arizona's good. If somehow the Seahawks can pull out something and give us hope again, that's great. I'm just banking on the McDonald window of 3 years. That's why I'm taking him where I took him in the draft. You're up.
I probably should pick the Kraken. I probably should. But I'm gonna pick Husky men's
Oh,
basketball.
oh, wow. Poor Kraken. It's because you
Yeah,
don't watch hockey.
yeah, that's why. But I did watch the Huskies lose to Nevada after the other Huskies football team lost to Penn State.
Oh, what a great night.
Um, yeah,
So you watched them play Nevada.
yeah. I turned on the Mountain West network
Okay. Do you
online.
feel less or more confident in Danny Sprinkle after watching it?
I
Or
feel
same?
I'm like neutral
Okay.
because Nevada's good. It's a Steve Alford squad. Like it's a good team. It was a road game. I don't know what the line was, but that's a tough game.
Nevada was favored. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that the like Great Sport had a horrible game.
I was going to say 3 points
Uh
in 30 minutes. That
yeah.
seems like an
He
issue.
looked he was missing like layups, he was missing free throws. It was all bad. Um it the team just doesn't look like a team right now.
Yeah.
Um I mean you've watched enough basketball, like you can kind of just tell like the guys are still like learning each other and learning how to play with each other. So that's why there's a non-conference schedule. That's why there's cupcakes or however you want to put it.
Yeah.
And I think Sprinkle will I mean, he's done the same thing multiple times. Like he did it on Montana State, he did it at Utah State. Um, Bigger hurdle, but
Yeah.
I do think that he can get these guys playing well. Um,
I thought it was interesting that Zoom
yeah,
Diallo played 5 minutes in this game and Christian King played 1 minute, is what I saw in the box
yeah,
score.
yeah,
And they both were, it seemed like key bench players in the first game,
yeah,
which tells me one of two things as a coach. Sprinkle seems to be about hard nosed, tough basketball. And maybe they watch film after the first game and he's rewarding the kids who are playing
because they
tougher.
played hard. Yeah,
But then it became like a rock fight in this game where those two kids are pretty talented offensively and they couldn't shoot, the
yep,
Huskies. So I I'll be interested to your point as they figure out who they are. He figures out who he has as well. He might change his rotation a lot
yeah,
in the next 6, 7 games before Big Ten
yeah.
play.
I Tyler Harris is like cool because all right, so we found out he was an NBA prospect last podcast,
Yeah.
but watching him, it's kind of gives me like early Terrence Ross vibes, where
Oh,
Terrence
I
Ross
love Terrence
was
Ross.
like really raw. Like
Yeah.
Ross was so raw as a freshman, but like he would just come out and like nail 3 pointers or make like super athletic plays. Like I feel like Tyler Harris has this like untapped potential. I definitely think he's going to be starting. Like he didn't, so I can't remember if he started against Nevada, but
He started.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I think he's going to stay in that lineup. I think he's just too good to have him come off the bench.
Yeah.
But who knows?
I'm excited to watch them. I haven't been able to watch either game yet. Well, I watched a
Yeah,
little of the first one, but it's just schedule wise didn't work out. So they don't have any fun games coming up until that Thanksgiving time when they play Colorado State and potentially Santa Clara University. Very exciting. All right.
excited for my Wednesday home opener.
Oh yeah, nice. They played.
Yeah.
Who does Santa Clara play on Wednesday? Nobody good, right? It's not a good team.
Let me look. I have it right in front of me.
While you do that, we
Yeah.
have the Kraken left, the
Wait,
Rain, and the Future Sonics. So the sad thing for either the Kraken or the Rain, or if the Future Sonics go above them,
who are you gonna pick?
the Kraken. Unleash the Kraken, Kev. I love hockey. I'm in. I just like it a lot. My wife did say the other night, "Oh, you're gonna watch hockey? That's cool. I don't want to watch this." I
But
was
no,
like,
North Dakota State.
"That's who Santa Clara plays."
Yeah.
They might be okay, actually. Those Dakota teams every once in a while. Um, Here's what I like about the Kraken. So they hired Disco Dan. That's the nickname for their coach, Dan Bilsma. They went on a road trip. They won 8-2 against the Montreal Canadiens. I was like, this is rad. I think we even texted, like, whoa, look at all those goals. Then they lost four in a row, including two shutouts. It was not good. They came back home and played Vegas. Vegas owns the Kraken. And
Yeah.
it was at home. Kraken go down 2-0. I turned it off. I'm like, not worth my time. And then I was like sort of superstitiously checking back in, but not turning the game on because I didn't want, and I was out. So like I didn't watch it. I went back that night, watched all the highlights in live time. Like I knew where the goals were, so I watched like the 10-minute stretch.
Wait, so
And
you had it recorded and then you just
yeah, I mean, it's on Amazon Prime. You can watch like full replays anytime you want, which is cool.
oh, that's cool.
Just do it on my phone. We were talking about scrolling. That's what I was
Yeah.
doing.
Yeah.
Okay. So the Kraken, what's cool for Disco Dan, their coach, the last game of the road trip against Colorado, he benched Oliver Bjorkstrand, who is a veteran who went to the All-Star game last year for the Kraken and is one of the better players theoretically, right? And he benched him as a healthy scratch because he wasn't competing well enough. Like that, I'm like, he's not a rookie head coach, but he's the first year in Seattle. He's coached before, right?
Yeah.
He said, I think we're going to have a great response from all over the lineup because of this scratch. There was a team message there as well, and Oliver not playing in that game. Like he's just like, I'm telling everybody, you got to bring it. And then Bjorkstrand, to his credit, said, speaking for myself, you got to find a different level. Come game time, you got to find a way to put your head down and want it more than the other guy ahead of you. So like it worked, and then Bjorkstrand scored a goal in the game against Vegas because he had been benched the game before, and they won more faceoffs against Vegas, which I love. Faceoffs are my thing in hockey. I just think the young guys and Disco Dan, I don't know. I got a little hope for the future.
Yeah. And the ownership is good too.
Ownership is
I
good.
think.
Potentially, also the ownership for the future Sonics.
Yeah.
Is that who you're taking next over the Rain?
Yeah. Well, we know nothing about the Reigns ownership. Like,
Well, the Sounders ownership. It's the
yeah.
same group. So if
Yeah.
you believe the Sounders are going to
Oh,
invest,
yeah.
if you believe the Sounders will invest, then you would believe the Rain would invest. But I get it.
Yeah.
Sonics are
No, no, no. I'm
exciting.
going for the Sonics. Even though that they're gonna be an expansion team, so they're gonna suck.
Yeah.
Like the Bobcats sucked. The Bobcats sucked so much for so long. They went back to being the Hornets.
Now it took this long, but now they have LaMelo Ball and Brandon Miller. And if the Sonics had some version of that, even if they weren't good, it would be worth season tickets. Those two
Yeah.
dudes are so fun to watch.
You'd
They're
buy
awesome.
season tickets to watch LaMelo Ball and
Brandon Miller, they are
Brandon Miller.
Kev, you need to watch them.
All right.
It's highlight reel. It's awesome. See, you need to
Um,
catch up on NBA League Pass before
we
2027.
can only consume so many sports.
It's
How
true.
am I
You
gonna
do.
do this?
No, it's true because, and this is why we work out, right? Because you peripherally, if that's the right word,
Yeah.
watch the Kraken, watch, uh, what was the other one? Oh, Sounders kind of, right? Rain.
Yeah.
Although you watch a little bit more as we podcasted, you are deep dive Husky football. I
Yeah.
am happy to turn off Husky football at any time. So Um, we have a nice balance. The only thing that you and I actually you weren't watching the Mariners at all at the end of the year because you couldn't, right?
No,
It
I
wasn't.
mean I could,
Oh, you didn't. Okay.
but I have MLB TV. I
Yeah,
could totally do it unless they played the A's, but like yeah,
it is
it's
true. That's
hard to
why
follow
football's
there.
nice, right? The once a week,
Yeah,
you can invest in and it's easier. The baseball, the hockey, the
yeah,
basket, when the Sonics come, that's gonna be hard to consume all that. Yeah,
yeah.
it's true.
Um,
It's true.
yeah. I mean,
I just when I'm home, my kids are old enough, I can ignore them, or I can ask them to come watch with me, right? If
yeah,
they're interested. And I
yeah,
just throw on a random NBA game on League Pass. Like we don't watch shows as a family. We don't watch the news to
yeah.
my to my wife's dismay. I put on NBA League Pass. So that's what we do. All right, last
Uh,
pick goes to me, Seattle Rain. I
yeah.
got nothing to say. Good luck. I'm a season ticket holder, so it's great. It's great. I hope they're better next year. They were atrocious to watch for the last 3 months. Please add some talent. Please get somebody I care about. Please do something.
Yeah,
I want to continue to be a season ticket holder. It's a good time. Great
yeah,
seats, great view. You got a good logo, good colors. You're
yeah.
doing great stuff. Your team stinks.
So I think we definitely underdrafted the Kraken, in my opinion, and I think that I picked the Husky football team maybe a little too high. They were like
The
number four,
Sounders are probably
lower,
number four
higher.
is
Yeah,
probably too low.
yeah,
Like you
yeah.
were considering them for number one, and then you went out of nowhere and, and passed on them, and they went number four because you got so
Um,
excited about Husky women's basketball, which is exciting, Kev. I'm happy for you.
yeah. Okay. So this is what we're gonna do for top five. We won't go totally in depth, but we're gonna draft um teams outside of Seattle.
Okay.
And you get first pick since I
Any
got
team, any league? Like, are we
any
going
league, any
European
team.
soccer? Like, what are we doing?
Anything that's within the same leagues of the teams that we just picked.
Okay.
How does that work?
Okay. We're gonna do a top five collectively.
Yes.
So we're go back and forth. So I get three, you get two, basically.
Yep.
You know that this kind of goes with our sports nerds league when we had Mike Phillips on.
It
This is the
does.
kind of work you have to do. And the easy pick used to be Alabama football. There's absolutely no way for multiple reasons I'm picking
To
Alabama
Las
football.
Bama.
I'm not taking Kellen DeBoer in Alabama
Yeah.
football. No way. Mahomes and the Chiefs is in consideration, but they are so boring to watch right now. So I'm not.
They're undefeated in the
I
National
know
Football League.
this is hard.
Do it. Can I steal the pick if you're taking too
No,
long?
you watch your mouth. I'm gonna take drum roll.
Da, 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 da,
No,
da, 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 da.
it's a really good drum roll. This is
Da,
really
da, da,
hard.
da.
This is really hard to give. I'm gonna take the Los Angeles Dodgers.
Yeah.
I
Yeah, I
mean,
mean,
if I could watch Otani every day and Mookie Betts, I love Mookie Betts.
yeah.
And they're probably gonna go get this guy from Japan. Have you heard about this pitcher who got posted? Another Sasaki.
No.
Okay, Kev, they say he's like a a generational talent. Like they describe him in a way that makes me feel like he's a demigod or something. He's
Then what
like
does that make Otani?
that's my point. I was like, what do you mean this guy is that good?
We already have a
He's
demigod.
24 years old and he's insane. And I think his first name is Rob, which I also like. Um, Kazuhiro Sasaki was a cool name, but like, oh no, it's not Rob. It's Roki. I swear to God, it was Rob. Yeah, I made that up.
So the Dodgers, okay. Can
Yeah. I'm gonna come back to Roki Sasaki for
okay.
you. Not Rob Sasaki. That's a different guy. Go ahead.
No, can I make my pick?
Of
Or do you
course.
want to? Okay.
No, we're here. We're here.
UConn women's basketball, baby. They're
Oh,
gonna win it all. Got Paige
what? Mm,
Beckers.
yeah, do like Paige Beckers a
Yeah.
lot. Yeah,
Yep. So
yeah.
that's my second pick.
Okay, that's a good one. Um, I'm kind of doing this on like vibes and what I would want to watch,
Yeah.
if that makes sense. And I'm gonna take this is a random one here. Like the Liberty and the Aces. Okay, I don't really get excited. I like Sabrina, but
Yeah.
is it? Can I take the Indiana Fever?
Oh wow.
I mean, can you imagine watching Caitlin Clark for the next 10 years?
Yeah. I mean, she's gonna get better too. Like
Is
she's
that
gonna
more
like add
exciting?
things to her game. Yeah.
That might have been a bad pick. No, it's fine. I'll stick with it.
You get
I was just
Indiana
gonna say
Fever.
I didn't really think because of the future Sonics, I wasn't thinking the NBA.
Yeah.
And like it'd be pretty cool to watch Victor Wembanyama for 10 years, or
Yeah.
Paolo Banchero, like the Orlando Magic or something. But
Yeah.
anyway, I'll stick with Caitlin Clark.
Okay. Oof. Who do I like now?
You got all hyped about the Chiefs.
Yeah, I like the Chiefs. Yeah. I feel like they're like Travis Kelce's getting a little older though, right?
Totally. They have no wide receivers, no running backs.
Yeah. Eventually dynasties fall. So I'm not like really God.
Here's the thing. It's clear that you and I like soccer just enough because we're not even considering an MLS team or an NWSL team.
I mean, Inter Miami just got knocked out. Like, and Messi's old. So
Although
like,
Messi, might take Messi for a year. If I had season tickets to Inter Miami, maybe that's how we should qualify this. You get season
yeah.
tickets,
Ooh.
right? Because that's what I was thinking. Like if you could just watch Caitlin Clark all the time.
I mean, this is who I Gonzaga basketball.
Oh,
Yeah, like
as an LMU grad,
yeah,
you should be ashamed.
I know. I know, but like they
Wait, you're an
just
LMU grad with Santa Clara tickets, which is also weird.
yeah.
And then you're gonna pick Gonzaga.
Okay, here's the thing. Like Mark Few's probably got what do you think? Like 10 years left?
I have no idea.
Less than 10 years. How old do you
I would
think
say
Mark Few
less. I would
is?
say less than 10 years is if I had to guess.
How old do you think he is?
Well, I don't know how old he is, but he has a son on the team who got dunked on. So
Yeah, did you see the presser after? He was
no,
like, Mark Few was asked about the dunk, and then he said, "Yep, Joe just got to experience the athleticism of the of NCAA Division One basketball, something to that effect." And the
nice.
players were kind of like just snickering. It was great.
He
Um,
has a daughter who I think is a senior in high school. So he's probably in his 50s, 60s, late 50s.
61.
Huh, that was
He's got
close.
10 years left for sure.
Sure, I guess, but like I don't know. He should I feel like he's gonna retire. He's just like, I don't want to do this anymore. But Kev, you're a LMU alum. This is ridiculous. You can't pick Gonzaga. I mean, you can. It just shows your
Yeah,
traitorous nature.
yeah,
Benedict Arnold.
yeah,
That's your pick, so you're stuck with it.
yeah. Shout out Jeff Michaels. Okay.
Did he go to Gonzaga?
He's just like a huge Gonzaga fan. So like we'd
Didn't
go to LMU games.
didn't
He'd
he go to
wear
LMU with you?
yeah, he'd wear his LMU shirt at the LMU Gonzaga game, and then in the second half, he'd take his LMU shirt
No,
off.
this is worse. He was a student at LMU rooting for Gonzaga. Are you
Yes.
kidding me, Jeff?
Yeah.
Kevin, you've been influenced too much. You
Oh.
need to have some loyalty. What is I
Yeah.
can't do this right now, Kevin. I have friends who I have trouble with.
Yeah.
I have friends who are Cougar and Husky fans. Like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll take the Edmonton Oilers. Why are you laughing?
It's so ridiculous.
No,
Like
it's not.
I
Connor
have no
McDavid,
schemas for this.
Connor McDavid is a generational hockey talent. He's
Yeah.
worth watching every night.
Okay, so I should watch the Kraken Edmonton Oilers game.
Absolutely.
Okay. All
Yes.
right.
Okay. There we go. There's our top five for
Top
the
five.
week. Can't wait for the comments on this one.
They're gonna be like,
People are going to be,
what were you talking about?
I mean, we could have picked South Carolina women's basketball.
Yeah.
We could have picked the Boston Celtics. I mean, we could have picked the Chiefs, like we said. I mean,
Yeah.
NFL's hard. It's a turnover,
Yeah.
but All right, there we go. Kev, what do we got going on this week? Are
What do
we gonna
we
write?
got?
Are we gonna write this week?
Yeah, I think we'll get something about the UW-CLA football game
Yep.
that's happening on Friday. A blackout. You know how they have like promos when you're watching? So I was watching Fox NFL Sunday and I forgot what game I was watching. It was probably the Niners game, but they kept on flashing the promo for like UCLA versus Washington prime time Friday night. And I was like,
Yeah.
this is really sad. Like, this is very sad.
I mean, people
Um,
watch it, don't you think? They watch Friday night games.
yeah, but it's no, I'm just like, this is the best we have to offer on Friday night. UCLA versus Washington.
I mean, the alternatives are high school football playoffs,
Yeah. Yeah, I
uh,
guess.
high school soccer playoffs.
Yeah, I guess.
It's not much else going on a Friday night. Um,
Um,
I will preview the 49ers this week, which is kind of depressing to
should I
do.
go to the game?
No, NFL games are not worth going to.
Okay.
They're so much better at home.
Yeah.
Don't you
It's
think?
right
It's
there.
so good at home. I heard parking's ridiculous and it's really takes
I've
forever.
been to multiple games. I've never enjoyed it at Levi's.
Okay, then don't go,
Yeah.
Kev.
The
It's the
only
easy one.
thing that I've ever, all right, we'll end on this note. The only thing I've ever enjoyed, there's two things I've enjoyed at Levi's Stadium. The first thing was the UW 10-3 Pac-12 championship victory over Utah, where the offense didn't score a touchdown.
Yeah, it was a
Fun
good one.
fact, UW didn't score a touchdown last week, and the last time they didn't score a touchdown was
Right.
that game.
Offensive touchdown. Yes,
Offensive
I saw
touchdown.
that. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, so that's point one. Point two, okay. I didn't get Taylor Swift tickets for the Eras tour. And this is what we did. Christine and I, before baby, went in the parking lot
Yeah.
just to see what it was like. You could hear the whole thing.
Was it good?
It was good. It
Was
was
it worth
good.
it?
Uh, I was like, what am I doing here? But it's kind of like a sporting event where you don't belong. So this has probably happened to people that are listening to this and they maybe studied abroad and went to a soccer game and it was like, I don't know what's going on, but I'm just here to just experience. Like they were selling hot dogs, they were selling merch outside. It was a whole thing.
Oh
People were
wow.
just in the parking lot.
So I'm a big Swiftie. I love Taylor Swift.
Yeah.
And I wanted to go to the Eras tour really
Did
bad.
did you
I did
also
not
go in
want
the
I
parking
didn't
lot?
know my wife suggested it. She's like she knew I really wanted to go. She was gonna drive me down. She's like, you have to go. Here's why I didn't go. I do like Taylor Swift, and I think I've literally watched her concert 2.5 times in full on Disney Plus.
Oh, so
The
you
whole
watched
three
that one.
hours. The
Because there's
whole
the
three
other ones
hours.
that are on Netflix, Amazon Prime. All right, continue.
I've watched those as well. Okay. I do like Taylor Swift. I have students who say when they introduce me, this happened at open house this year. They said, this is Mr. Elsner. He teaches social studies and English, and he's a Swiftie. So depending on context, it can help. Um, I didn't want to go because while I'm a Swiftie, I'm not really. Like, I don't want to hear people singing her songs.
Yeah.
I want to hear her sing the song. And every footage of concerts in parking lots is just all these people singing and holding
Crying.
hands and
People were
crying.
crying.
And I
It's
don't want
crazy.
that. I don't want that. I
I
like Taylor Swift. I think she's a great performer. I think she does a good job blending the songs in, the surprise songs. She's got a whole
yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
Please let Taylor Swift perform.
It's
I
like
don't
yeah.
I don't need it's the same thing as parents on the sideline of youth sports. I don't need your analysis of my fifth grade CYO basketball
Yeah.
game. Okay. I don't need it. I got it. I
Yeah.
got it handled. Just like
Yeah.
Taylor Swift. I just
No,
compared
well,
myself
yeah,
to
I
Taylor
mean,
Swift.
I guess it's just like going it's like the unfortunate experience of sitting next to a know-it-all during like a sporting event. It's like
That was
just
a much better analogy than
let me
mine.
drink my beer and
Yeah.
just watch them play.
Yep.
That's
Yeah.
exactly what
So
Twitter's
that's why I didn't go.
yeah.
So shout
Yeah.
out Taylor Swift. Shout out to all our listeners. And
Now
shout
but
out to Seattle Seahawks, who are going to beat the San Francisco 49ers
and
next week.
anyone listening to this on 1.5 speed, shout out to you. Have a good week.
All right.